John, and I'm delighted to join today's ESPC community webinar. Today I'm joined by Mark Marita, who will be presenting AI-ready Fabric, anomaly detection, smart recommendations, and right back inside Power BI. We love hearing what you guys have to say, so remember join conversation about today's webinar and more on X. Our handle is at ESPC_community and our hashtag is hashtag ESPC26. Tweet us, tag us, and tell us what you learned. Don't forget to check out our Learning Hub, which updates the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. You can access the Learning Hub by visiting espc.tech and clicking the Learning Hub tab at the top of the page. Don't forget to join us for our next webinar, Agentic Apps on Microsoft Fabric, Building Stunning Interactive Experience in Minutes, presented by Mike Carlo, taking place tomorrow, Thursday, July 16, 2026, at 4 p.m. CEST. To register, visit www.espc.tech/Learning Hub Content Weeks Microsoft Fabric Week. Time's ticking. Your future network is waiting. Don't miss the conversations, insights, and opportunities everyone will be talking about after the event ends. Secure your place today and be in the room where it happens. Save €300 with code Fabric Week when you book your ticket. Before you switch on your out of office, make one last smart move. Secure your place at FabCon and SQLCon in Barcelona and take advantage of our early bird rates. Book by the 31st of July to lock in early bird pricing. Then use code FABRICWEEK to save an additional €300 on your ticket. Enjoy your summer knowing your place is reserved at Europe's leading Microsoft Data and AI conference. If you haven't entered already, for your chance to win Lego, scan the QR code to enter today's giveaway from our Microsoft Fabric Week sponsor, Acterys. T's and C's apply. After the webinar, we'll have a dedicated Q&A session. Please type any questions you might have into the chat box. Questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. The webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Center, where you'll be notified by email once available. And now I'm going to hand you over to today's presenter. Hello, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, how's it going, Sean? And hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. We appreciate it. We'll probably give another 30 seconds here before we kick things off as more and more people are funneling in.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Without further ado, let's kick things off. So real quick, everybody, just want to do a quick intro. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am Mike Murata, the VP of Global VP here at Acterys, and we're thrilled to be the title sponsor for Microsoft Fabric Week. I think there's a lot of great content, a lot of great momentum in the space. So first, a genuine thank you to everyone in this community. This is by far one of the best groups in the Microsoft data world. I'm seated in Philadelphia. Our organization is a global one, so we have a full team all across EMEA, APAC, and North America. For this session today, team, some quick housekeeping. We'll run slightly under an hour, right, here today, all things considered. Roughly half of that will be a live demo inside of Fabric and Power BI. And we'll definitely save time for questions at the end. So please feel free to drop them in the chat as they come to you, and we'll get to as many as we can. And if we don't have an opportunity to get to those, we'll reach out to you guys directly with answers as well. One thing before we start, this is really meant to be a technical session, kind of showcasing the art of the possible with what you can do with tools and things inside of Microsoft Fabric. This is not meant to be some hardcore sales pitch. So I'd rather you leave with an idea you can actually use than a logo you'll forget tomorrow. Let's dive into it. All right. Insight without action creates delay. I want to start with this one line because that's what this whole session is built around, right? Insight without action creates delay. Think about your own reporting environments for a second. You've done the hard part, right? The data's modeled, it's governed, it's beautiful in Power BI. Someone opens up a report, spots something that matters, a number that's off, a cost that's spiked, or a forecast that slipped. And then what happens? They hit the most popular button in Power BI. They export it, right? Or they screenshot it into an email, or they open the same numbers in a spreadsheet to actually do something with them. The insight lived in Fabric. The action happened outside, right? And everywhere else. That gap between seeing something and doing something about it is where the delay lives. And in most organizations, it's not measured in minutes, it's measured in days. So here's the pattern that I see in nearly every organization I talk to, okay? Fabric and Power BI have become the backbone, right? The place you model, govern, and visualize. That part's solved. But the moment a decision needs to be made, everyone leaves the platform. The number gets pasted into Excel. The what should we do conversation happens over email or in Microsoft Teams thread, right? Someone adjusts a forecast in a workbook that only they have access to. A decision gets made, and there's really no clean line back to the governed data it came from. So what do you end up with? Slightly absurd situation where you guys have invested enormous effort in governance and a single source of truth. And the most important moment, the decision, happens in the least governed place possible. I sometimes call it the spreadsheet graveyard, right? We all know that one for sure. 12 versions of the same file, all named final, right? We've all got that happening somewhere in our organizations for sure. I want to be clear, right? This isn't something that anyone is doing wrong. It's actually by design, right? Power BI and Fabric were built as a read-only layer. And that was the right call. A huge part of how you got trustworthy governed analytics was by making the data something you actually look at, not something you change, right? Read-only was a feature, not a bug. The trade-off that we see, right, is the platform intentionally stops right at the edge of action. It'll tell you what's happening with incredible clarity. It just was never designed to let you do something about it in the same place. So the question we started asking was simple, right? What if it could? What if you didn't have to choose between governance and action? And that's the reframe for today. What if your Fabric environment moved beyond reporting, right, and became a decision layer, a place where you can interact, decide, and act without ever, exporting anything or leaving the governance that you guys have already built? Three things have to be true for that to work, all right? They have to map exactly to, and they all will map exactly to what I'm going to show you here today. First, you need to be able to write back and do so safely and with all of the controls and governance that you will require. Second, the platform has to help you notice what needs attention, not make you and your end users hunt for data or hunt for anomalies or hunt for issues. And third, it should actually help you decide what to do and then capture that decision back into the governed estate with a full audit log. Interaction, intelligence, intervention, right? That's the whole session here today. So here's what Acterys actually does, with an inside of Microsoft Fabric, right? At a concept level, before I show it to you guys live. The tool set that you're going to be seeing today sits natively inside the Microsoft stack. Power BI, Fabric, Excel, Azure, right? We have a governed write back layer. That means a user can change a value, plan a number, approve an adjustment right inside of Power BI, right, where they're already looking. No export, no side spreadsheets. And on top of that, we layer three things that we're going to focus in on today. Detection, so the platform flags anomalies instead of you scrolling to find them. Recommendation, so AI and machine learning suggests what to do about it and explains the why behind that. And a full audit trail. So every one of those changes is captured, attributed, and traceable back to the source. The headline is that word governed. You're not, trading control for speed. You're getting both. One quick architecture note, right? Because I know this crowd cares a lot about where data actually lands. When someone makes a decision in a report, that write back can commit wherever your data lives. Fabric, Azure, On-Prem, Databricks, Snowflake, right, etc. Whatever your organization is leveraging today. We're not creating a shadow copy off to the side that now have to reconcile, right? It goes back into your governed estate, respecting the security model you already have, row level security, audit logging, lineage, all of that will stay intact. So the governance story isn't trust us, right? It's your existing controls that keep applying because we're inside your estate and not next to it. All right, so next I really want to kind of walk you guys through what you can do inside of Microsoft Fabric and Power BI based on the topics that we talked about. How can you get, right? First, is your data even AI ready, right? Before we act on anything, I'll kind of show you how Acterys catches bad data the moment it lands in Fabric, misidentified records from a recent ingestion in this example today, and then let someone fix it with governed approved values right up to Excel scale, right? That's the foundation of what we'll start with today. And then we're going to act on it. So I want to open up and show you how you can write back inside of Power BI, what the real-time anomaly detection engine, right, on numbers actually looks like, and what AI recommendation to guide the fix, right, with that associated decision committed back into Fabric, right, looks like fully governed, fully auditable. Clean the foundation, then act on it, right? So that's what we're going to be doing and diving into next. Let me share my screen and we will switch gears into the actual product itself. Okay.
Yeah, can see your screen. Yeah.
Back. All right. Good, Sean. Awesome. Thanks, man. All right. So everything I'm going to show you, right, assumes one thing, that the data underneath is actually right. So before we even act on a single number, let me answer the question this whole session is named after, right? Is your data AI ready? And here's a real one, a real example, right? A recent data ingestion brought in employee records, and Acterys and our backend engine is flagging a problem. These position titles don't match your approved list. They came in wrong. Someone made them up. Someone mislabeled them, misspelled them, right? Or map titles that don't exist in your master data dictionary. We're calling them unlinked positions because the system literally can't tie them to anything it trusts. And to be clear, guys, this is not cosmetic, right? Look at the top of your screen. We have $10 million of payroll that is sitting against positions that our system can't verify. We have over 100 records that are not AI ready, meaning that when we ask questions of our data, right, using LLMs and things of that nature, we are going to get incorrect answers back because our data is not cleansed and is not accurate in its current state. We have 6 locations affected. Toronto is being affected the worst, right, with 19 unlinked positions. We feed this into a model or a board report tomorrow, right, and it will confidently hand you answers built on broken data, right? So what I want to be able to do, right, and this is anomaly detection team, right, but notice it's not on numbers, it's on the data itself. Is it labeled right? Is it master data, right? That's the foundation everything stands on here, what we're going to be walking through today, right? AI starts with trustworthy data. The platform catches bad master data the moment it lands before it quietly poisons every report and model downstream. So spotting is one thing, right? Fixing without creating a new mess is another. So watch what a data steward can do here, right? If you see down your bottom half of your screen, you might see some additional buttons here, team. So what I can do is actually go into edit mode here. And now I can correct a record, right? But notice that, once I come into this screen, I am not free typing whatever I want, right? I am picking a new position from a governed dropdown of approved titles, the master list that your organization actually sanctions. So the fix can only ever be a valid value. We've all been bowling with small children, correct? Sometimes you put up the bumper rails so they can knock down some pins. Same process here, right? We're not trading one data quality problem for another, where every correction you can make kind of conforms to your master data by design. Now, we do this by being able to link these things to different columns and areas of your data model by making the custom list and dropdown a finite list in nature. So as an example, if I come in here and we currently have an analyst, right, for finance, but this person needs to be called a finance analyst. And now I can come in here and mark this reviewed. Press save changes, right? And here's the part that matters, team. The whole entire report updates and refreshes. The payroll at risk number drops. The AI ready count moves. The change right straight back into Fabric, governed and audited, exactly like the numerical changes I'll be showing you guys next. This is the master data management, but handed to the person who actually knows the answer. This is not a ticket that sits in IT's queue for 3 weeks, right? So corrections are governed, only approved master values are leveraged, so cleaning data never means risking it. And the business impact updates live as people fix it. Now, correcting one record's fine, right? As you see, I can go row by row here, right, which is awesome, but nobody wants to click 100 dropdowns. So here's the same job through one of our Excel visuals that we call Smart Excel. Now, this is a very unique experience, team, and a lot of our end users across the globe, across our 2,500 customers, have fallen in love with this UX and UI, all right? This is a full native Excel experience living right inside the report. No longer are you exporting to Excel or lose a connection. It is Excel connected live to Fabric, which means your data stewards work the way they already know how to. As an example, I can now come in here, and if I want to change something to under investigation, right, I can now come in and do a full drag to fill, right? Press save changes, right? I can do that right here, and you guys will see that everything updates instantaneously. Now, if I switch back to my reporting view and I have my report re-rendered and refreshed, you will also see that all of those changes I just made are automatically updating here as well. So this is a very powerful interface, and you can give end users options, team, for how you want them to interact with data, right? This job would have been 100 clicks, or worse, a spreadsheet that someone emails around, right? Or re-imports by hand, or that your team needs to collect. Now it becomes a 2-minute cleanup. I can come in here, I can make selections from a drop-down, as we talked about. I can do copy and paste. I can do bulk fill, right? I can filter to an individual location if I want, right? If I just want to look at Toronto, and I have the ability now to come in here and handle my information with write-back, fully governed. The Excel muscle memory that your team already has, right? Connected live to Fabric. So making data AI ready scales to real volumes without ever leaving governance behind. So that's the foundation, team, right? You can set up all different types of things. Our engine on the back end, when data is ingested, will be able to root cause and actually create these to-do lists, right? Proactively creating items and rising information up to the surface where end users can come in and make their adjustments, give you the data you need before this stuff becomes AI ready or you use it for planning purposes. Now, as you can imagine, team, we're showing you one of the most basic examples. Think of how else you could use this across your organization. The use cases are literally endless, and it's really going to help with all types of master data management and data cleansing activities. So that's the foundation. The data is clean, right? We master it. It's genuinely AI ready, but clean data was never the goal, right? We wanted to talk today about acting on it. So now let me show you what happens when these numbers, right, kind of need attention. So what I want to do now is switch to our next screen. So inside here, inside of Power BI, you'll see an alternate visual interface where end users will now be able to come in here, right? This tool looks like an ordinary report, okay? And that's the point. Your users don't need to learn a new tool. Watch this. I'm going to click into a cell, right? And I'm going to update a number. Make 20, 35. I'm going to save it. That's it. The value is now written back. No export, no spreadsheets, no email me that updated figure. I changed it right where I was already looking, and it committed it to the data behind the report directly inside of Fabric. And notice, right, I didn't leave Power BI to do that. For your users, this is still just the report. For your data estate, something real just happened, right? The action happened in the exact place the insight lived. That's the last mile closed. Now, writing back is useful and all, but only if you know where to act. In a real environment, you're not looking at 10 rows, you're looking at 10,000, right? So the platform should tell you where to look, not make you go hunting. Watch the report here, right? Do you see this in these red cells, team? Right? This is Acterys' engine, just like we did for the data types, flagging numerical anomalies, right? So the values here that are red are well outside the expected range for this period. The system caught it, it surfaced it, and pulled my eye straight to it. I didn't build a special report to find this. I didn't scroll through pages looking for one number. That's off. The moment the data moved outside of normal, quote unquote, right? The platform said, hey, look here. This is the shift from you interrogating data to the data raising its hand, right? Your team and you guys on this call, in this webinar, can stop hunting for problems and start responding to them. That alone collapses the time between something going wrong and someone noticing, right? So let me select over here. You guys see this tab right here? This is the anomaly detection screen. So based on those red cells, right, we are now calling those things out, right? And then that's going to be step one. The real value is what happened next, because a red cell that everyone ignores, right, is just a decoration, right? Just a Christmas tree ornament that people look at and say, oh, that looks nice, but I don't have to do anything about it. So here we've defined a threshold, a rule, right, that says anything that has a high severity, right, that is going to be dictated by a certain deviation or value is going to be put into a category called high severity. Now, guess what, team? This is a planning use case, right? We're updating values. We're calling things out that are anomalous in nature. End users cannot commit this to their manager via workflows and approvals until they manage and update all of their high severity items. So we actually have a workflow and locking mechanism associated to this, right? When the threshold is crossed, it triggers a structured workflow. The items of the to-do list show up in this screen, and end users will not be able to submit for approval until the high severity issues are handled. You guys will also see a medium severity issue, right? The cool part about a medium severity issue, they will be able to submit with it, but it requires a comment, right? So it's not so outlandish that, the corporate team will not accept it, right? And management won't accept it, but they do need a variance explanation as to why. So these are two different types, right, of structured workflows that will now be available and will be required for the end users themselves, right? So that's the difference between a notification and an intervention. One tells you something, right? The other moves. So a threshold turns something into, someone should maybe look at this eventually into this person, this action now, right? We're assigning these to individual people on our team. They will have a to-do list to work off of, and they will be able to remove these anomalies with manual intervention. Now, here's where it gets genuinely interesting, team. We found the problem, right? We routed it to a person, but the person still has to decide what to do. And often they might not be the closest to the data, or they may be looking for assistance from somebody else, right? So watch what shows up. Acterys here, using their recommendation engine that is fully embedded inside of Microsoft Fabric and Power BI. It's not just saying what's wrong, it's suggesting a corrective action. And importantly, it's telling me what the reasoning is behind the suggestion. So here's the data it's drawing on. I want to stress that last part because this is where a lot of AI, right, and analytics falls down. This isn't a black box telling you to trust it. It actually shows its work, right? A human stays in the loop so that person can accept it, adjust it, reject it, right? But the AI and the machine learning algorithms at work here, right, is accelerating decision, not making it for the end user, just giving them options and suggestions.
Sorry, Mike, just to disrupt. Yeah. I think there's just a few questions on what you're doing at the moment. Just might be more relevant now than later on.
Sure, absolutely.
So one is just to be clear, this is a custom visual inside Power BI.
That's correct. These are custom visuals that are available inside of Power BI with a write back and planning engine that will do all of this anomaly detection on top of your Fabric data and the models that you have in Power BI.
Perfect. Another one is, this looks really impressive, but didn't get the link with Excel looking view in PBI.
That's not a link. That's one of our custom visuals. So Smart Excel is a visual that works inside of Power BI and Fabric, but it gives the end users a 100% Excel-based experience. So it feels familiar, but you still have read-only data coming from your Fabric models. You have cells that may be editable that write back to a database, and you have audit logs, workflows, and approvals and governance. Think of Excel without the typical Excel hell that people deal with. So it really blends the best of both worlds and becomes an option for end users. Not everybody wants to use Excel. Some people want to get away from it. But as you can imagine, some salespeople out there are used to working with it. And obviously finance members across the globe love Excel, right? So having that option for them to interact with data inside of Fabric goes a long way. And we're not going to get into it today, but that Smart Excel visual, you can actually even do self-service reporting on top of your Fabric data using Excel formulas, not having to write DAX, things of that nature. So it's a very popular visual that we offer to the market.
Perfect. And this last question now, I think you already answered it, but he just goes, I second that question, or is this a Fabric app?
This is not a Fabric app at the current moment. We do have other Fabric apps, but right now this is a part of our core offering that comes with our visuals and leverages our engine that you can then either use out of the box or configure with rules and certain types of logic for your own use cases across your business.
Perfect. We'll keep the rest of the questions to the end just so we don't disrupt too much. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we were just talking about what this recommendation engine is and what it does. I just want to kind of show you real quick that if I hover over a given recommended cell, you can see that we are actually providing context, that we used a Monte Carlo algorithm of 200 iterations for, demand simulations. And it actually tells you what's going on here and what you're leveraging and what you're seeing and why you're seeing it. So the end user can now come in and take a look at what they originally planned and what's being recommended, right, through the recommendation engine. Now, most organizations team will kind of set this to auto and allow the product itself to determine what script or what AI, right, logic to leverage. But of course, with anything, you can also have manual intervention as well. So if you want to actually change the recommendation engine, the configuration and what you're doing, you can see here that I have a manual intervention to be able to do so. So down here, you can see a couple different options that I have to choose from. So you can see recommendation method, right? I can now come here and choose what I want to do, right? Do I want to use a CAGR, which measures the compound annual growth rate across the review period, projects it forward, ideal for products on steady growth or decline trajectory, right? Or do I want to use a rolling average? Simply show me what I've done the last 24 months and give me a rolling average for the next 12. Time series, right? Monte Carlo, right? Some of these basic things are what comes out of the box. Now, another cool thing, if you guys have a data science team or want to leverage your own forecasting methods and different types of logic, you can add that directly here as an option. What I'm showing you right now are basic out-of-the-box options that we provide. So now I can come in here, and if I want to do, right, a CAGR or a rolling average, I can now come here and say, how far back do I want to look? What do I want my recommendation period to be? If I only care about 1 month, I can come in here and select 1 month. Press Save Changes, and you guys will see that over here in these red cells, all of my numbers will now update because I have manually chosen what I want my recommended numbers to be. So whether this is an executive leadership team, right, pushing this down, or end users actually understanding what these things are and leveraging them, this becomes a recommendation, right, that helps a lot with less experienced people, right? The recommendation carries the expertise. It's something that's defensible, right? So when someone's 3 months into their role, they get some guidance, right? And that use, 10 years of pattern recognition or whatever that may be to actually learn from it. The platform doesn't just tell you what's wrong. It can propose a fix, right? And explains to why they did that or why the right decision was made to get things easier, faster, and there for more people, all right? So now that we've seen the anomaly, right, we reviewed AI's recommendations, I'm going to make a call, right? I can accept the corrective action and commit it. So as an example, if I come here and press edit, I can just simply, you see these things are locked, right? These are recommended and calculated, but I can say, okay, I'm going to accept this as a recommendation, press Save Changes, and that updates that, right? That anomaly that we have 500 in, we have now accepted a recommendation from the engine itself at 17. Everything refreshes. You guys can move throughout your entire hierarchy and category levels, all of the above. Anomaly detection, same thing goes, team. If I come back to this screen, right, I have my to-do list that we were just looking at. And what I'm able to do now is if I want, I can select a certain anomaly, make an adjustment, right? Filter down to that, leave a comment, or do whatever it may be. So as an example, if I select an individual anomaly on my to-do list, you can see that my matrix down here is updated. So now I see that my baseline, what I planned initially this year was 14. I may want to come down here and make this something more realistic, press Save Changes, right? And then you guys will see that based on this update I made, that anomaly is no longer a part of my to-do list, right? It's something that I have remedied and something that I have fixed. Same thing goes. If I have these medium severity items, right, I can click into these and I can add comments as well. So now I can come down here, right click and put a comment and say, customer churn, right? Bringing demand down. Press Save Comment. This is now living at that intersection of data, team, right? And as long as I have a comment there, I will be able to commit this to my end user and to my manager. So as you can see, I can now hover over. You can see the customer churn bringing demand down. And another cool part about this platform, team, you can have back and forth conversations here as well. So with this tool, we have something called, we have something here that allows you to do threaded comments. Oh, okay, I see. Please send contract. You can actually use @ and assign these to people on your team as well. And the cool part is that these comments follow that data point anywhere it goes, right? So very, very powerful application. And last but not least, team, right? Remember that we mentioned the final loop here is going to be audit log capabilities. So let's take a look here. Every single thing that I've done in our demonstration for you today all goes directly into an audit log that lives behind your firewall, within your database, within Fabric, etc. So you can see that that last change I just made, right, that I demonstrated for you, where I went from 95 as a previous quantity down to 20 to remove an anomaly, you can now see who did that when, what product, what category, what scenario, what month. All of the metadata with that audit log is completely populated based on that thing that we've done. All right. So this tool set, team, allows you to kind of see the whole picture, right? So you can make data AI ready. We acted on it. We have detection, decision, govern, write back all in one place, right? So this is the beauty of what this tool can provide and what it's doing for thousands of users across the globe. It's helping take Fabric to the next step. It's allowing you to get the most out of your Microsoft investment. Instead of bringing in third-party products for different things like this, why not do everything in the Microsoft stack? So with that said,
sorry, Mike, just another question there. You just said, maybe you can make clear how this is implemented and where Fabric comes in, because so far, especially the sales pitch, quite dominant. We're all aware of the business value.
Well, the business value is a lot of the things that I've just mentioned, right? So this works directly on top of Fabric SQL. So you will be able to leverage all of your existing models, do all of your anomaly detection, and then this writes back directly into Microsoft Fabric SQL tables. All right. So again, no third-party infrastructure, nothing like that required. And you'll be able to provision this directly inside of your own platform.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike.
All right. So if we come back over here. All right. So what you just watched was a single unbroken loop, right? We interacted with the report by writing back to it. The platform detected what needed attention. AI helped you decide, show its reasoning, and we acted, right? That action committed and audited straight back into Fabric. No exports, no shadow spreadsheets, no decision made in a place your governance can't see. Everything happened right inside of the estate you've already built and already trust. I want to speak directly to the folks in the room whose job it is to be skeptical of anything that writes to a production data, right? Because you're right to be. The reason this passes review is that we don't do work around your controls. We work inside of them. Your role level security still applies. Every change is logged, right? The data never leaves your estate for some external system. There's no second copy floating around that you now have to reconcile at quarter end. The usual trade-off is speed or control, right? The whole point here is that you don't have to pick. So where do people actually start with this, right? A few common ones, right? Financial and operational planning and forecasting is the classic, because that anomaly detection with recommendation engine actually can help plans and forecasts become a lot more accurate, right? And not have to adjust those numbers and commit them, right? Without having to go into spreadsheet round trip stuff. Operational anomaly response is a big one as well, especially around cost and usage. We have a huge push nowadays, team, around all things Azure consumption spend, AI token consumption, things of that nature that people are leveraging this solution for, just to augment what their capabilities are inside of Fabric, right? Budget adjustments, approvals handled right in the report. And honestly, anything that fits the shape, right, of I need to spot something, decide something, log something, is a candidate for how you guys could potentially leverage these type of offerings inside of Fabric. You don't have to boil the ocean, right? Pick one, workflow where the export and email cycle cost you the most time and kind of start there. If any of this hit home for any of you guys, the best next step is to pretty much see it on your data, right? Not a generic demo. Let's sit down with you, take a real use case and build it out so you guys can put it in your own hands and kind of get a proof of concept that you guys can feel and do for free, right? Against your actual environment. These are all things that are available. If you are interested in seeing what a free POC would look like inside of your environment on your data and things of that nature, please feel free to scan a QR code, grab time with us. I'll be around here for the chat after this too. All right. In addition, for anyone going to Barcelona, we will have a nice big booth there as well with our whole team from Europe, myself included. So if you guys want to stop by or join a happy hour with us, we'd love to have you, and it'd be great to see everybody while we're in Barcelona. So what we'll do now is open up for any additional questions, Sean, that you may or may not have, but that is the content. Again, thank you again, everybody, for your time. I wanted to make sure this was short and sweet, showing you guys a little bit of the art of the possible. And Sean, thanks again for having us as the title sponsor this week. It's been a genuine pleasure to be part of it. So over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, for a great, fantastic presentation demo. So we'll now get into the Q&A session. If you'd like to ask a question, please feel free to type in chat box now. So next question is custom visual. Is there any approval mechanism for changes or any version control to undo?
Yes, both of which are completely out of the box with the platform. It's a great question. So we have a full workflow and approval engine. So when people are making changes like this, that can live in a certain version of data, and then that be approved by a member of the team. So if approved, then data moves back in the source of record. So that is completely standard with any write back. We always are going to have workflows and approvals associated. Same thing, we have version control. So you can have different types of versions. As an example, you can have a what if version that's just for an individual end user using their Enter ID, right? Will only be for their eyes. You can have regional versions where if I create something, everyone on my team can see it. And you can also have global versions, right, that are made available. So versions have rollback capabilities. You can do a lot of different things. But yes, those are both considered completely out of the box.
Perfect. The next question there is, hi, can we just confirm where the data is sitting? Is it Fabric SQL database?
Yes, there's multiple ways this can sit, just to be clear, right? We are not 100% only working with Fabric. Obviously, it's Fabric week. So yes, we work and write back directly to Fabric SQL for any write back data that you want to collect that's net new. All of your actual data will live wherever you have it, right? Whether that's in OneLake, whether that's in your Power BI semantic model, that data stays the same. What we are doing is storing any of the write back data back to a Fabric SQL database. That could also live, as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, this can live in Azure SQL. This can live in On-Prem SQL. This can live in Databricks and the like. So there's multiple options for where data is stored, the new human insights and the manual intervention that you'll be collecting. The most simplistic, if you are on Fabric, is simply to let us write back to a Fabric SQL table. You will not need any additional infrastructure whatsoever.
Perfect. Next question is, how does write back maintain governance compared to traditional Power BI workflows where users export data to Excel?
Another great question. So this will be the complete opposite of what people export to Excel. So typically what you're doing when you export to Excel is you are snipping that connection to your live model, right? So you're exporting to Excel, you're doing different information. If someone wants to update something or do their own calculation, they are in turn creating, right, their own silo of data. And that's the biggest pain point for, most BI than data teams across the globe. Not to mention that a lot of people that are exporting to Excel are going to the local Starbucks and hitting a public Wi-Fi with their data. There's been all types of data security concerns with that type of functionality, and having end users keep that directly inside of the Power BI ecosystem has been a huge selling point. With our product, you get, again, we have workflows and approvals that will allow people to write data back that's important and approved. Number two, the audit log is automatic. So you don't have to set it up. You don't have to provision it. What we do is point it to a table, and we write back and populate a table for you for every keystroke. Every change that someone's made is now referenceable, auditable, and allow you guys to have, hold people accountable, right? It's all about accountability these days. So if you ever need to know who pulled data down somewhere, who made a change, whatever that may be, you now have an audit log to support that, which you are not getting in an Excel export.
Perfect. And the next question there is, so just to be clear, this is an Acterys product built on top of Fabric.
That's correct. This is a Acterys custom visuals that are available inside of Fabric. Yep.
Perfect. Next question is, can you give a principal overview of how the live update is implemented in principle? Does the semantic model need a full refresh, or is there a layer above the SM and below the report which injects the changes on the fly?
Yep, great question. So what this is doing is going to be writing back to a structured table. And then what we do in our write back engine does is it actually performs brain surgery on your semantic model. So it doesn't refresh the entire semantic model. Think about an operation where we're going to open up the semantic model, go in with our tweezers and our little things, and update individual cells that have changed and recompress the semantic model and refresh the Power BI report all in a second or two. So it is not a full refresh of a semantic model. It does not count against any of your refreshes that you have with your current Power BI licensing. That's access that we have as a Microsoft ISV.
Perfect. That looks like all the questions that Max just said. Thanks for this, Mike. Look forward to meeting you in a few months in Barcelona for FabCon.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. And I hope if you guys have any questions whatsoever, anything of the kind, please let me know. I've been doing this for going on 8, 9, 10 years. So I know a lot about write back and planning inside of Power BI, where the skeletons are buried and all that good stuff. So any use cases you guys would like to chat about, I'm here. I love this stuff. I'm very passionate about it. And I really do hope to meet a bunch of you guys in Barcelona in a few months. Thank you again for your time. Have a great rest of your week.
Cool. See you in the next one, and take care. Thanks again, Mike.